Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this Monday. Hope that your day is going well. We're starting a brand new week, of course, this week, and our studies in the book of Daniel continue. We're in chapter number 2, which is the longest chapter in the book of Daniel. It's taken us a while to get through, even up to the point where we're at, and we're nowhere near being finished with chapter 2. But we're farther along than we were, and we're getting close to starting the interpretation of the dream. You'll recall on the last couple videos we've talked about this dream that King Nebuchadnezzar has had, and he challenged his wise men, those astrologers, those sorcerers, those magicians to give him not only the interpretation of the dream, but also tell him the dream. He didn't even tell them the dream and let them come up with their interpretation of it. He wanted them to produce the dream and then interpret the dream, and they could not do it. And we've did these videos and studied through the Word of God and found that the king was angry. He was not only going to slay those men, but also all the wise men, which included Daniel. Daniel got a stay on that order. He got him to just give him a little bit of time. He went to the Lord in prayer, and God answered the prayer. And so the last video that we talked about, Daniel is before the king and told the king that your sorcerers, your magicians, those wise men that you have sought counsel from for years, they're not able to produce the dream. He said, but there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets. And that's where we kind of left off. Daniel's interacting with King Nebuchadnezzar. All right, we're going to pick it up in verse number 29 and 30 and just cover these two verses that leads us up to the interpretation of the dream. So beginning tomorrow, we'll actually get into some of the detail of Daniel interpreting the dream. First of all, Daniel's going to tell him the dream, as was the order from the king, but then he's going to interpret the dream. Notice verse 29. In verse number 30, as for thee, O king, thy thoughts came unto thy mind upon the bed, what should come to pass hereafter? And he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. Just a couple things about this verse. First of all, we see kind of an introduction to what this dream, what the subject matter of the dream. Before Daniel got into the specifics, he said, this dream that was given to you was for things to happen hereafter, things that's going to happen in the future. And in fact, beginning tomorrow, Lord willing, in the next probably couple videos, maybe throughout the week, we're going to see that this dream that King Nebuchadnezzar had was for future Gentile kingdoms, and that would arise to power. And history has recorded that what Daniel interprets here in the Word of God did come to pass. And so the historical rise and fall of these different kingdoms, but they're historical for you and I, but in Daniel's day and in Nebuchadnezzar's day, they were in the future. And so Daniel's going to interpret the dream, and it's going to have to do with things that's going to happen in the future. These kingdoms that's going to rise to power, and then they would be defeated by another kingdom, and it would rise to power. And so he kind of introduces what this dream, the interpretation of the dream, is going to be about. It's about things that's going to be happening in the future, that it was a dream that had a meaning. And so notice in verse number 29, also before we go to the next verse, the Bible goes on to say, as Daniel said, he said, he that revealeth secrets and maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. And once again, Daniel's not taking credit for this, as we've mentioned in previous videos. Daniel was given all praise to God, and glory to God for his wisdom and him and he alone. Notice verse 30, that kind of continues that praise. But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have. In other words, Daniel once again is not taking credit for this revealing of this dream. He said, it's revealed to me not because of any wisdom that I have. It's not because I'm a smart man, although he was. Daniel was, as we've talked about in this book, in the beginning in chapter number 1, those choice servants that were brought back, they were wise. They were the cream of the crop, those young men that were taken. Daniel was one of those. It wasn't, but even though he was a wise person, even though he was a person that was a very talented individual. We see Daniel said, this is not brought to you. I'm bringing this to you not by any wisdom of my own. And so he's continuing to give God praise for this. And remember, it was Daniel that went to God in prayer. Daniel realized early on in this situation was beyond his control. And he needed God to intervene. And when God intervened, he didn't take any credit for it. He said, look, I want to let you know that this dream the secret of this dream that's been revealed has not been brought to you by any wisdom of myself. Now, continuing verse number 30, he said, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that thou mightest know the thought of thy heart. So God's going to reveal it. God's going to do it for his benefit, that that the king would know what's happening in the future. And also God uses this, as we're going to see, after the majority of the rest of chapter number 2 is going to deal with the specifics of the dream. But at the end of chapter number 2, because Daniel performed so well, because of God using him and interpreting this dream, Daniel and his friends are promoted in the kingdom. God uses this to get Daniel in a high position in the government there in Babylon. And so God had a purpose for all of this. And but Daniel gives God the credit for it. Oh, that we would learn that God deserves all credit. Everything that we have, everything that we are, any good in us, it's because of him. And I hope this has been encouragement to you today. Just want to give you kind of the introduction before we get into the specifics, because it'll take us a little while to go through this dream. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday today. And remember, tonight we continue our homecoming service at 7 o'clock tonight, 7 o'clock tomorrow, and 7 o'clock Wednesday. Just 2 extra services this week. Our Monday and Tuesday, of course, services. We always have a Wednesday service. And we have a different preacher coming every night, special singing as well. Pastor Rick Perrine is coming from Ripley Baptist Temple tonight to preach, and he's bringing some singers with him tonight. It's going to be a wonderful time. I hope you'll be in church this evening. And then tomorrow night, Pastor Bo Burgess from Jordan Baptist Church bringing singers with him. And then Wednesday night, Pastor Kevin Bartlett from Maranatha Baptist Church will have special singing. It's going to be a wonderful time, and I hope you'll be with us for tonight's service at 7 o'clock. And be in prayer for that service as well. God bless you. Like, share this video, comment, let us know who's watching. And Lord willing, we'll see you tonight in service. If not, we'll see you tomorrow for Lunchtime with the Lord on Tuesday's edition. God bless you.